All right, everybody. So if you're just, I'll wait for people to come on here, but for anybody just watching this video that's been recorded by now, it'll be a few minutes before we get going here. I'll wait for some people to come on here and I'll get everything set up. That includes trying to, there we go. I'll get a link out on to Twitter here as well. Get everything set up here so I can go ahead and, oops, here we go. Get this going. And if you guys are a member, you'll be automatically entered into the weather station drawing here coming up in the next couple of days. I'll do another live stream this week and I'll give that away. We'll do a random number generator again. If you want to do that, you click on that join button down below the video there. See if I can get a tornado picture in here as well real quick. Aaron Green out there catching tornadoes in eastern Washington. Tweet that out. Okay, now everybody should be aware the live stream is out. So let's see how many, if we have anybody in here yet. This week, and I'll give that away. Volume off. That reverb can get nasty. Let's see here. Okay, all right, we got 50 people in here already. So let's go ahead and let's go ahead and get started. I see people in here. What is this? This is a live stream, West Coast weather, Pacific Northwest weather watch. You guys can ask any questions you want. Hopefully have some California, Arizona, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, BC, Idaho, Montana viewers in here. Check out my videos. Chehalis Gap in the house, Flagstaff, Arizona, Paulsboro here. Violet Dreams. 208 Outdoors. Good evening, everybody out there. Let's go ahead and bring up the radar. I got the radar from earlier saved. You guys see the tornado footage? Oh yeah, I'm competing against the home run derby, aren't I? So yeah, maybe the live stream won't go as well as I hoped, but yeah, there's an all-star game there in Safeco Field coming up here. Home run derby is overrated anyway. But if you look here, the tornado earlier today, so Aaron Green caught this out there, vacationing out there near the Cooley City area. So he was somewhere over in here, he mentioned. And you think, it'd probably be a part of this storm or this storm here, or maybe this storm. It was actually probably part of this storm here, and it was starting to merge into what became a stronger storm north of this here. There was pretty good instability out there. I'll take a look at that here in the sounding. So it was unstable, but the winds, the wind profile didn't look like it was going to be tornadic or anything today, but that's kind of how it works out there in eastern Washington. You tend to get these boundaries and you can get these landspout tornadoes. Well, it's not a mesocyclonic tornado, so it's not a big, supercell out in the plains or anything, but still quite photogenic, especially here for the Pacific Northwest. Cooking hot in Reno. Yeah, California is going to get downright toasty here coming up as well. And if you're just joining, I'm kind of looking over the tornado that happened in Washington. Looks like it was from this cell right here. There's probably some merging and some kind of a boundary here as these storms started to fire across the area, and the landspout tornado probably formed on that boundary there. I'll show you some of the soundings actually here. We could actually do that right now. And you can see that the layer was quite unstable here, and some of these tops are probably getting up over 30,000 feet. But you can see the wind direction is pretty much uniform all the way up and down the profile. And even look at this, the sounding I just happened to pull here, the surface to 3 kilometer. The surface relative velocity was actually negative there. But for landspouts, it doesn't really matter. You get the updraft, and you can get all kind of weird little activity underneath that. And that updraft does some stretching, and it produced that landspout tornado. You can actually see we had moisture there, but we did have somewhat of an inverted V there. So it made it interesting that it did condense all the way to the ground, probably enhanced by some of the dust out there across eastern Washington. But anyway, pretty notable out there. It's not that common to get tornadoes here in Washington state of any kind. And to show you guys what I talked about this a couple days ago, if you remember in the video, you can see as we went through. Let me back up here, and this is actually the newest NAM. Let me back up to the 18Z here. And this is the thunderstorms that went across the area this morning. And then this kind of wrap around, this bent back occlusion, that was where the thunderstorms formed right around in here. And I had been watching that for a few days now, and I was going to go out there, but I had to drop my wife off at the airport here, so I don't think I would have made it in time. And even if you're out there, it's really difficult to tell what I might have been on the stronger storms out in front and not on that one trailing, or maybe further off to the west. You never know if you would have actually seen the tornado out there. Yeah, Eastern Washington, Coulee City, north of Moses Lake there, east of the Cascades here in Washington. But yeah, if you guys have some questions coming up here, I know I got a lot of California viewers. We'll look at that activity here coming up. It's going to get just kind of ridiculous here in California here over the next, towards the end of the week here. I mean, a really big ridge of high pressure looks like it's going to be building in here. There goes that trough out over the Pacific, and this ridge is just going to take dominance here across a lot of the Southwest. It's actually going to affect, so the same heat that's going to be affecting California is actually going to warm up all the way into BC as well. You can kind of see the ridge here. So, you know, it's going to warm up along the West Coast pretty well. And look at this 600 dam here, DM, very big dome of high pressure here, big heat dome. You know, it's going to get pretty crazy out there. Phoenix could be looking at 117, 118 degrees here coming up. Michelle Twig, Coulee City area. .208 outdoors. Terry Franz is in here. Always leaves nice comments on the channel, on the thing. 114 in Phoenix. Yeah, just brutal. I mean, this is showing Sunday morning here. I mean, look at this ridge, just intense. And what is this? This is hour 144. This is the most recent European run here. And not backing off on these temperatures. If we go to surface temperature here, we look at 2-meter anomaly. Look at the West Coast just burning up there. I mean, you got to go right along the immediate coastline. And even places like San Francisco are going to warm up here too. But look at this heat all the way up into BC, Vancouver Island, Washington coming up here. So it's going to be pretty interesting here. And if we look at the National Blend of Models as well, let's go to West and see what it shows. And now we're on Celsius. Go to Fahrenheit here. Let's go to 24-hour max. So you can just kind of see. This is tomorrow. Look at the desert Southwest just baking out there. Seattle nice and comfortable. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. But you see even Seattle warming up by the time you get to Saturday and Sunday here. 83. Look at 90s in the Willamette Valley. But the valleys in California and Death Valley could be approaching 128 or so by the time you get on into Sunday. Check down here the max. Look at that 129.4. You could have an outside shot at 130 degrees there in Death Valley. You've only reached that temperature twice. The all-time record high was today, actually 134. But yeah, the desert Southwest is just going to be absolutely baking here, even by their standards. It's going to be very hot. Look at Las Vegas, 115 plus, 119 here. I'm not sure exactly which one that is, but just south of Vegas there, off to the west of Phoenix. Oregon coast, yeah, that's a nice place to go during these heat waves. Oregon coast for sure. Yeah, I don't know why they even bothered downgrading, really. I see Christy Sharkey asking why they downgraded the marginal risk. And I guess they just, I mean, there was some CAPE out there, but I guess they just didn't think the winds are going to be that high. I mean, there was some pretty good lightning out there with these storms and whatnot. I'm just kind of surprised they didn't just leave it up. You can still get some gusty winds and blowing dust out there. But yeah, they did drop that and they pushed it off to it's even all the way east of Helena now. I don't know if they changed it up again, but marginal risk for severe out there. But we did get that tornado that will go down as a tornado report for Washington State. I reported it to Spokane there. I put it on Twitter and included Spokane in there. So Aaron Green out there catching tornadoes in eastern Washington. Had a nice, you could see the funnel right down the middle of it there. The little vortex tube down the middle of that tornado is pretty interesting also. Kingman, Arizona, 115. Nice and breezy in Port Angeles. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, you can get windstorms any year here in the Pacific Northwest. It doesn't matter. The El Nino, La Nina year, it doesn't really matter too much. You can get a powerful windstorm in any season here in the Pacific Northwest, definitely. And there's some models. I mean, actually today is Monday, so let's just go ahead and do this. You guys can do the search with me. So, because it's slowed down a little bit here. No, wrong one here. Am I looking for, I want discussion, I believe. I don't know which one I'm looking for here. I don't know why it's not showing up. But anyway, it's slowed down a little bit here across the El Nino. So maybe it'll stay into the weaker or moderate El Nino at this point. But it does not matter too much here for the Pacific Northwest. You can still get big windstorms no matter what phase the ocean is in. Yeah, Las Vegas was slow to heat up this year. I see that Ryan mentioned that they did not get to 100 degrees until just quite recently, actually. And now we're going to be pushing 116, 117 out there. I'm scrolling through the chat here a little bit. Yeah, so Christy, you stayed home also. Yeah, I would have gone out there just because, I mean, it was quite photogenic looking too. I mean, you look at this. You can see the cluster of thunderstorms here across eastern Washington. Probably pretty nice looking out there. You get your lightning trigger out and catch some lightning strokes out there as well. But yeah, for whatever reason, they just didn't think that, I don't know, maybe the shear wasn't good enough that they thought there was not going to be enough organized wind to keep that wind out there. But who knows? There could be some hail out there with these storms as well. But you can see them propagating across eastern Washington. Probably looks kind of nice. See, if you're out just to the east of Moses Lake on I-90, you can probably see those clouds to the north, but you're in some nice sunshine there. Marine layer didn't really, I mean, it lifted a bit here across western portions here, but it didn't really totally burn off. And I don't really mind it too much. I know we're going to warm up coming up here as well, so I don't mind a little break from the warmth. But you can see the low pressure really spinning, sending some convection up into BC, Alberta, Montana, across Idaho as well. But pretty interesting looking and seeing this during the summertime across eastern Washington. A little bit of a bent back occlusion with that low pressure system there. Helped kick off that tornado. I mean, it happens down there, the 600 heights, but it is kind of rare. And especially, I mean, you can see some of the monsoon moisture trying to creep up into Arizona, but I mean, Phoenix is just going to be really toasty here coming up, and there's not much relief out there. It's going to be kind of an unbearable situation for a lot of people. I mean, AC is just a must. There's just no other way to get around it out there. And look at actually across Los Angeles today and some of the coast. Looks like it burned off pretty well. You can see it kind of hanging on across Northern California, but LA Metro, nice and sunny today. And the thing about it too is when you show LAX temperatures, you got to remember it's pretty close to the coastline here. So when you get into like Burbank, the temperatures are quite different. You get inland just a little bit and you escape from that marine layer across some California. You can warm up really quick, and everybody knows Palm Springs, you can get 115 plus quite easily here with the ridge of high pressure over the area in summertime, especially. So yeah, San Francisco, normally pretty cool, but even San Fran could warm up here as we go. Oh, I know I'm not supposed to call it San Fran, but San Francisco. Yeah, so the home run derby. So that would be like, yeah, you can see it's not really, probably not going to burn it off. I mean, it might clear out a little bit at some point later on tonight, but who knows? These low clouds kind of being a little bit affected here by the wraparound coming back from this low pressure. I think a little bit of an onshore flow today, not allowing it to break up too much. Wind started howling up. Where are you? In the Strait of Juan de Fuca, it's probably going to start picking up here as you go through the evening hours. So June 26, 1990, 122 Fahrenheit, Phoenix, Arizona, highest temperature on record. That sounds about right. Yeah, they're probably not going to get there, but I mean, you could hit 118 or something to that effect coming up here. In fact, we could even look at that right now. If we go to select station, select region, let's go to Arizona and let's go to Phoenix Sky Harbor here. Let's check out the 12Z. It is. Some of the ensembles have it approaching 120, but that's, only the top 5% of the ensembles have it approaching 120. You can see actually one has it at 123, but that's, that's a 1 in 50 chance. You're looking at maybe a 2% chance, probably even lower than that, just because you're going to put more The deterministic is almost certainly going to be more accurate at that range. And you can see 25 to 75 percentile here shows temperatures between about 111 and 116, but very warm here for Phoenix, definitely. Actually, let's see if we can switch that up too. Let's see if GFS, Arizona. Yeah, GFS calling for something similar here as well for Phoenix. Yeah, getting dark out there in Spokane. Yeah, for sure. I mean, you guys are going to have these storms bearing down on you. In fact, let's go ahead and... So what time frame are we looking at here? There we go. So I've not updated it yet, or have I? Nope, I have not updated it yet. Let's go to close the history mode. That's what I'm doing wrong there. Okay. So we're doing 50 frames. Yeah, you can see... And if you watch these storms move across the area here, watch this outflow boundary from these storms. There is some gusty winds with that. I mean, they could have just left that marginal up. Christy, Sharky, if you're still watching. So that's probably, I mean, that could be kicking up some blowing dust as well. And it's almost surprising. They did put a special weather statement on this cell up here, but they probably could have even severe warned that. I mean, it looks pretty powerful. But you can see the stuff dying back north of Ritzville here. This is kind of getting cut off here, the Cape. The instability is dying a little bit here. So this is probably the most dangerous storm of the evening right here. And that's going to be pushing into the Idaho Panhandle here. But yeah, you can see that outflow boundary moving down across I-90 across Medical Lake, Cheney, and into Spokane there. Kelly Hamilton. Yeah, the clouds didn't burn off. Well, I saw the sunshine a little bit. You could see the blue sky here, but it was, yeah, it was not... We didn't get like a full sunshine day here for sure. $116 right now. Nice. Yeah, let's see. What do we got? We got 120 people watching. Okay, that's cool. But yeah, let's go back to the radar here. And another thing too is we're going to cut off the thunderstorms across the Cascades for the next couple of days. You might still get some pop-ups across the BC Rockies, Alberta, maybe on in through Montana, but for the most part, we're going to get a few days off from thunderstorms here. And then we got this system out here. You can kind of even see it's got a little bit of a spin to it here, but during the summertime, these things are just so much more wimpy than their fall and winter cousins. I mean, these just usually don't pack too much of a punch. And I mean, this low pressure system, you know, it produced that little tornado, but really that's not like something you have to be worried about here, generally speaking. More or less the lightning, probably the most dangerous thing there. And maybe if you're driving, that blowing dust and some of those gusty winds. Reached 90 here today. Where is that at? Well, there's probably a lot of places that got towards 90 today across the area. Yeah, that monsoon's starting to get going here across some of the higher terrain there of Mexico, trying to creep into Arizona. I don't think it's going to be in time. This ridge is really going to keep that monsoon suppressed to an extent. A little bit of tropical circulation trying to go here, but nothing too organized just yet. I always like looking at the GOES 18 satellite imagery. It's just amazing that we have such technology now. You can see the trade winds blowing across the Hawaiian Islands. Get up on the volcanoes and you can actually get above the trade wind flow. That's why they install the telescopes up on top of the mountains there. One of the perfect areas to view a space here from Earth. That trade wind flow generally is what, about up to 9,000 feet, and these peaks go, you know, well above that. So you can get a lot of cloudless nights out there. Trade showers rolling across the islands. Tracy in California. Central Oregon already has fires. Is that right? I didn't see anything. Oh, yep, here we go. There is actually. I wonder if that's lightning started. That's where the thunderstorms were coming through very early this morning off to the west of Pendleton there. And you can actually see something right here. A little bit of smoke here, maybe off to the east of Mount Hood. I bet Garrett Hartung, if he's in the house, probably knows about that, if those fires did kick up today. But yeah, you can see that fire burning here. Pendleton, Pasco, Walla Walla. There's Yakima. Hello from Lyons, Oregon. Love the channel. Thank you very much for the kind words. Oh, and if you guys just remember that I'm going to do the weather station giveaway here in probably 2 days on a live stream. So if you are not a member and you want to join, you're automatically entered if you join the channel here. Yeah, I want to take a look at, let's jump out and do the GFS here and see what it says recently here for this ridge of high pressure. In fact, actually, we could do this. Why don't we do the European and then we just compare it versus the GFS. Oh, let's back that up. Let's bring that to the 12Z run here. So there goes that little system. There's our little tornado maker. It came across Pacific Northwest there. That's what's causing that thunderstorm activity. And we're going to get another little weak system coming through here, rapidly deteriorating. And this trough kind of cutting off, retrograding here a bit over the Gulf of Alaska. Check out that ridge. It's going to get warm all the way up into BC here. And then look at this, just domination down here across the Southwest. This trough, it's going to make a big difference on just how warm places like Seattle and Vancouver get here with this trough out over the Gulf of Alaska. Big difference. If this thing is just 100 miles west versus 100 miles east, 200 miles makes a huge difference on this ridge position here. But then it eventually shows this trough settling down over the Pacific Northwest. Check that out. Look at this, 200 plus hours, always bringing the goods here. Actually more like 180. Be onshore flow, still roasting hot across the Southwest and portions of California, Nevada, but this is definitely an onshore flow pattern here for the Pacific Northwest. This would be out towards what, Monday of next week here. And then this troughing set up here, man, that would be kind of an interesting feature here across the area and kicking that ridge a bit more off to the east. And maybe we can get some monsoon moisture back into the Southwest. But if you compare that to the GFS, you can see some differences here as well once you start getting out that far, which is pretty typical. But both of the models do kind of have this troughing here. So that's interesting. That'll be something to watch over the next few days. It's always good to have something to keep you entertained here during the summer. Douglas County off of Highway 97. Government Camp, Oregon. Yeah, I saw that. I forgot to mention that. Chris Allen mentioned significant number of lightning-started wildfires in southwest BC in the last 3 days. BC Wildlife Service has been hitting these fires hard, and that's something that I noticed as well on here also. It's kind of being obscured by the clouds, but there's some fires going on out here as well. You can kind of see some of the smoke underneath them. This looks like a fire here. Look at this thing. Jordan Truppner, thank you for the support. Look at this fire just kind of growing out there. I mean, really remote out here, but still this adds smoke into the system. And eventually this gets like stirred up into people's air and it goes downstream. Looks like there's a fire here. And these are almost certainly lightning caused fires out here across British Columbia. And if you're wondering where we're looking, this is Vancouver Island here. It's the west coast of BC. There's Bellingham to the very bottom right here. And yeah, look at these fires, some explosive growth going on right there. And there's some pretty good fires going across northern BC as well. You can see the smoke underneath some of these clouds coming across the area. And there's some fires going on across some of the higher terrain, eastern BC as well, kind of obscured by some of these clouds right now. But as this moves out overnight, it'll be interesting to what we can see tomorrow. Fire planes were in the air quite a bit around Coeur d'Alene today. I hope that ridge cools things down. Well, the troughing might, as we go on into the extend it a little bit here, but yeah, Junie Shu, that is going to change coming up here. Inland California, you are going to start, the oven's going to turn on here coming up. You can see what we're looking at by Sunday here. Here's Saturday. There's Friday, but yeah, not much relief here. And Sunday, I mean, look at that 129.4. And that's no doubt the Death Valley area here, Furnace Creek. Some dangerous heat out there. I mean, it looks like even 103 for Tonopah, Nevada. That's like 6,000 feet out there. That's kind of ridiculous. Chris Allen, thanks for the kind words. Yeah, so there was a tornado in eastern Washington today. If you guys did not see that. And let's see here. So how can I show that to you guys? Let's do this. This is from Aaron Green here. So yeah, that legitimate landspout tornado, fully condensed. You can see the inner tube on it there. I mean, you get the right conditions out there and tornadoes can happen. I mean, we did have some moisture out there. 59 dew point is what the sounding I pulled said. The wind profile did not look tornadic, but that doesn't really matter too much with landspouts. You can kind of get these boundaries going on, and then you can get some instability and you have an updraft, and it can kind of cause this stretching and create some of this activity here.
What time is it? 3:34.
Almost looks like a 3:34 p.m. today. So yeah, it almost looks like a big dust devil, but was definitely a landspout tornado. It's connected to the cumulus cloud above it, and you can see that inner vortex there that you can only really see up close on dust devils. There's probably just enough dust in the environment there and on the ground to where actually show this. Otherwise, if this was over more of a grassy surface, you might not have seen this condense all the way down to the ground.
Okay, that is just...
But yeah, good stuff there. Actual legitimate tornado there in eastern Washington today.
We could get closer, but by the time we get closer, it's...
Hung out for at least a few minutes, it looks like. No damage that I know of yet. They'll probably go out. They might have somebody take a look, or if somebody reports something, they might put it in. Otherwise, they'll probably just report it as an EF0. But yeah, Aaron Green on Twitter. Yeah, we're kind of Twitter buddies there. He helps me out with some of the technical aspects of my channel. And yeah, he was out there vacationing in Eastern Washington and caught that. I'd been watching that feature come across the last few days too, and I was going to go out there and chase it, but you can kind of see it in the bent back occlusion. I mentioned it a couple days ago, and you can see kind of the storms moving across near Ephrata, Moses Lake there in the north portions. Very interesting indeed. And this is also taking a look at the infrared satellite imagery. This kind of gives you a nice show of what's going on with the lightning here. If this is going to update, I hope it does. If not, I'll click off it and wait for it. But yeah, you can see this low pressure system that spawned that tornado there. Some lightning with these thunderstorms here. Let's go ahead and update that. And they're starting to weaken now. This is probably the most dangerous storm going on right now. And you can kind of see the outflow from these storms here, kind of kicking up some cumulus clouds as they moved across I-90. Might be some blowing dust with that too. So yeah, maybe they shouldn't have taken down that marginal risk there. And we talked about these fires a little bit ago here too. Looks like something broke out. This may have been lightning caused from this morning. I'm not 100% sure though. Looks like there's something here to the east of Mount Hood as well. Don't see anything across Washington right now, unless there's something here. Looks like there's something a little bit smoky here, and there was some thunderstorm activity there, so maybe something kicked off there. But yeah, kind of interesting. You can see the spin in the atmosphere there. Yeah, the thunderstorms, they did arrive. Yeah, it looks like nobody was hurt. Probably kind of looks like it wasn't in a town or anything. It didn't look like. This was the 18Z her, so that would be 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. You can kind of see, and that's right about where the tornado formed actually here, even though it wasn't associated with the stronger storms in the area. And then this is what, 6, 7 o'clock here. So it did, European didn't do too bad. The storm's probably right about here, but it did not do too bad. And as we go through tomorrow, you'll notice maybe something over the higher terrain here, but just over the higher terrain here, maybe just a pop-up thunderstorm or two. And probably the same thing here for Wednesday. Yeah, even a little bit less. No, not too bad. Maybe something similar. Actually, back towards Lake Chelan. I spoke a little bit too soon there. Maybe if that trend's there, I'll go out and chase that as we go on in through Wednesday. Who knows? We have the Tunnel 5 fire in the gorge on the Washington side right now. So here we're looking at the infrared satellite. Look at all these lightning strikes. You could see them all going on across the east slopes of the Cascades, eastern Washington, and check it out across Montana, Alberta. So yeah, you can see that low pressure spinning out here. Don't see any with the system out here just yet. This could cause a couple lightning strikes here, maybe across some of the higher terrain. We'll see how that goes. That's the next little system we're kind of watching here. I'm trying to just cross my fingers that maybe somebody across western Washington or southwest BC gets like a rain shower or something this time of year. It's really hard to get precip here. Yeah, we didn't burn off today. You can kind of see that marine layer. It lifted a bit here, but there's probably a little bit of convective growth in some of these clouds. We probably destabilized just enough to kind of keep this cloud layer around. A little bit of cool air aloft, so that's probably what happened there. But yeah, I'm kind of interested in what this fire is out here. If anybody knows, let me know. Actually had some flash flood warnings out there on the Spokane. They took those down. Still have the red flag warning out there for fire danger. Flood advisory is still going on. Lots of new fires in BC. Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit. I can't wait to see what kind of fires are going on. Because this morning it looked like there was kind of a lot of smoke there over southern BC. Are we getting any monsoon moisture into Seattle this summer? Well, I always cross my fingers for it. I'm hoping for it. No guarantees, though. Sometimes it makes its way up here, though. Spokane 97 yesterday. Only 3 degrees off the record high in 1985. Cloud cover all day in Olympia. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully those fires don't get out of control, man. That's the last. God, it seems like every year we're dealing with this forest fire smoke now over the last few years. Yeah, I have that somewhere, but I don't want to go clicking around and like kind of. I don't want to go clicking around right now when I've got you guys on the live stream. I'll check it out tomorrow and we'll look at the fires and whatnot. Yeah, if you guys want to beat the heat, man, the place to go is next couple of days, the coastlines for sure. I like watching this diurnal motion of the winds here coming up too. You can see the surge down the Strait of Winnefuke and the Chehalis Gap here. Tomorrow night, again Wednesday night, Thursday night, kind of rinse and repeat here off the east slopes of the Cascades. Nice onshore flow for the next few days, and we're going to start to warm up here a bit. The Devil's Butte Fire is a new one in north central Oregon. Nice. Yeah, they get going early in the season. I mean, Canada's burned, I think, record amounts of material or biomass already this year, like more than ever for any entire season already. Canada's burned, and BC, there's a lot of fires going on up there. I mean, I know you can't see it too much, but you can really see the smoke up here. And I mean, even look across some of the higher terrain, these fires are just going up like crazy. This is just insane. And it's remote out here. It's not easy. You can't just send 20 guys in a firefighting truck here to go put out these fires. This is something that is going to be burning for a long time. It's not something you can just go put out. This is a remote area out here, and it's hard to get resources up here to fight these fires. And you can see this one is producing tons of smoke as well. And hopefully this isn't like a sign of things to come as we go through summer across Washington and Oregon. I mean, I don't have to remind anybody across Washington and Oregon the last few years. And I especially don't have to remind anybody living across California. I mean, some of the amounts of smoke that were produced a couple of years ago over the last few years has just been somewhat ridiculous, And you can see that monster low pressure here out towards the Hudson Bay. That's what's feeding that pretty extreme flooding event across some of the Northeast as well. And you can see some of the smoke getting entrained into that low. That's pretty interesting looking as well. I mean, what a dominant low pressure system here. New thunderstorm formed over Spokane Valley due to the outflow winds. Yeah, you can see it right there. There it goes. Just off to the east of Spokane here, they put a special weather advisory on it. Still the most dangerous one up here off to the east of Elk Priest River up here. So, well, look at that core in there. That's a pretty intense core. There might be some marginally severe hail in a core like that. Yeah, and definitely this is formed on the outflow boundary there coming off to the east of Spokane. You can really see the outflow boundary going across Amber now, down towards Malden, across to I-90. Might add some blowing dust with it as well. Kicked off a few showers there, just kind of north of Ritzville also. But those since have deteriorated a bit. West of the Cascades, I mean, you can get lightning anytime west of the Cascades. When we tend to get our biggest lightning shows is when we get some kind of low pressure system off the coast of Oregon or over kind of southern Oregon, and it wraps this moisture back around, and we get more of a deep moist flow back across the region, and you get the mountains to fire off some of these thunderstorms, and there's enough instability around, and you warm up enough here where you can get some of this activity to move over western Washington. So that's when we get the most lightning strikes, but you can get thunderstorms any time of the year. Anytime we have these low pressure centers here, or you get that really cold air aloft coming over the area, or you get convergent zone activity across the Seattle metro, you can get lightning strikes. But yeah, the big ones during the summertime, there are usually setups where we get some kind of an upper level low off the coast, or you get just monsoon moisture flowing up out of the southeast over the region. I love how you show the graphics. Yeah, thanks for the kind words. I enjoy trying to give everybody kind of a visual representation of what's going on. I think it's important, because you kind of want to see what's going on. You can just have somebody kind of telling you, but it's not the same as just kind of seeing it with your own eyes and having somebody describe it to you. It seems to be a much more effective way of visualizing and learning things. Looks like Paradise didn't really break out much today either. Yeah, they did back that severe weather up, but it doesn't look like it was too extreme over here. We did that, the tornado out there, but it is what it is, and not too big of a deal. The word got out, I think, that you could get some of this quarter-size hail, some of these wind gusts, and the lightning out there. Hopefully not kicking off any forest fires. Adak Island, there's a good question. Let's see. Well, right now it's overcast, 1,400 feet, and it's about 52 degrees and a light north wind there. Got the ASOS there on Adak, way off into the Aleutian Islands. And that little dollar sign there means maintenance is required on the ASOS weather station out there. Yeah, if you want someplace that's nice and cool year-round, Adak is the place to go. Not much wind. Last couple of days doesn't look like. You could probably look at it here on the GOES 18 as well. Check it out. I remember when I was little, I used to dream about being able to see satellite images like this. And then when it started becoming more widespread on the internet back in like the mid and later 90s, it was pretty rudimentary. Some of the satellite imagery was not that great looking, but at least you could see the clouds on your own. Usually you had to wait till the 5 o'clock or the 6 o'clock news would come on, and you'd see Jeff Renner or Harry Wappler or Steve Poole on there showing you the satellite imagery there, and that's when you would get your dose of the weather. Central Cal foothills, 54 this morning, nice and cool, getting braced up for the heat. Yep, it's coming for sure. Couldn't find the KATX radar station on Google Maps, so it's right about here. See Camano Island? It's right there. Juniper Beach, Camano. Not much going on west of the Cascades here. You can see it actually picked up the tops there just north of Moses Lake. You can actually see the radar beam did scan some of this activity here. And hopefully I didn't kick off any fires near Chelan. That place can really get going here in the summertime too. The fires can get rolling. And you'll notice kind of this bubbling here. That's that radar beam hitting Mount Rainier. So you kind of become trained to these features. It's probably the radar bouncing off the Olympic Mountains here too. And sometimes it'll pick up insects, depending on the intensity of the radar beams out there. It'll pick up birds, bats, all kinds of crazy stuff. It'll catch meteorites sometimes falling through the atmosphere. Doppler radars are pretty cool. And then we've got the Langley one here. You can see just to the east of Oh, did I click on it? Okay, there we go. Yeah, just the east of Copalis Beach there, Ocean City. And this one, if you run it, you can even see it. It hits the Olympic Mountains as well, but you can see it even will pick up some wave activity also out there. If the beam is low enough, it'll be picking up the waves if they're active enough out there off the coastline. So pretty interesting stuff. This is a great tool to have here on the coastline as well. We now get a view into these storms that we never had before. So a very beneficial tool there. And I wish there was some kind of push here. Maybe set one up on Lincoln City. It would be really nice to have one on the Oregon coast. Because if you're on the Oregon coast, the Portland Doppler gets its beams knocked down by the coastal range here. And Langley reaches a little bit down towards Tillamook sometimes, and maybe Lincoln City north of it, but you're just looking at the tops of the storms by then, so you don't really have a good picture of what's going on out there. And you can get some strong storms, and you can get some really big mid-latitude cyclones with really powerful cold fronts that move up the coastline here. And it would be nice to have maybe off of Newport here, a nice Doppler radar. It would be just very beneficial here to forecasting, and especially nowcasting especially for places like the Willamette Valley. Maybe we can get some political activists here to start to lobby for something down in Florence or Newport or even Coos Bay down there. If you go far enough down, you got a Doppler radar off the coast of on the coast of California. So that's kind of nice having that there. And then you've got a little bit better coverage through California. You got Sacramento, and you've got one near San Jose there as well, Santa Maria. Got one up on the hills. You got one Los Angeles Basin, San Diego. But yeah, there's some pretty good Doppler radar gaps here across the USA. And a lot of it has to do with terrain features. And some places just don't have a lot of people living in those areas. But I mean, even across some of the south, there's radar gaps. And sometimes these radars go out. You can see the sun setting on us here for the evening coming up. Six months in ADAC. That is impressive. Is there a weather station close to Christmas Valley, Oregon? I'm not even sure where that is. Harry Wappler, yes. Greetings from Squim. What radar app is that? That is Radar Omega. Yeah, it'll pick up the wind turbines also. It'll even pick up traffic sometimes. Like in Kansas, it'll pick up traffic on I-70, for example. It's pretty interesting watching it. Yeah, we really need a Doppler on the Oregon coast. We need somebody to like pony up some cash for that. But yeah, we're going to do another giveaway here in a couple days. Weather station giveaway. And of course, if somebody wins that won it last time, we'll do it again. But Super Darn. I've not heard of Super Darn. Christmas Valley had two of them at one point, but I don't know if they're still in use. Greetings from Denman Island, BC. I'm not sure where that is either. Let's see if the European changed anything coming up here. Actually, there's Vancouver, BC, or the European. The 12Z, I believe. There it is, yeah. It's like the control called for a little bit of precip, but yeah, not much. We're so darn dry here at this time of year that it's just kind of a shame. But the Pacific Northwest weather will be picking up here again shortly. You guys know how it goes once you start getting into... Oh, look at the GFS here. The 18Z, pretty hot for Seattle. Then look at this marine push here. Check out Monday, 92. Then look at Tuesday. I like these graphics too. Ryan Mayhew on Twitter hooked me up here with one of his Uber accounts. Very generous of him. He's definitely got the color coding down here. Yeah, he understands the impact of looking at a map and being able to determine, you know, what kind of color means what, and kind of gives you a nice impact. But yeah, look at that nice warm up here Sunday, Monday. Look at that, Seattle. Wow. So yeah, that ridge location is going to mean everything here coming up. Then a strong onshore push here, then maybe a bounce back. Would not be, you know, this definitely doesn't look undoable. It's summertime here in the Pacific Northwest. We can get pretty downright hot, even on the inland, or even west of the Cascades, I should say. Lake Havasu, Arizona. You got your tempest out there at 107. Nice. Yeah, waiting for the monsoon. That is the monsoon. It brings life. It's the non-soon right now. Nanaimo. Vancouver and Vancouver Island. Okay, so you're not far. Yeah, radar scope's good to have. Radar Omega is good also. And if one of these radar apps kind of messes, what do we got here? Yeah, they did severe warn it here. It's like maybe they listened to the live stream here. Severe thunderstorm 9 miles south of Newport, 11 miles southwest of Priest River, moving northeast at 30 miles per hour, 60 mile per hour gusts, and $50 size hail. That, if somebody gets a picture of that, I want to see it. Hail damage to vehicles is expected. Expect wind damage to roof, siding, and trees here. So we did verify. We have some severe weather here, at least expected on the Washington-Idaho border. So maybe they shouldn't have taken that severe down. You can see that they put the marginal all the way to the east of Helena there. But this has the potential for severe hail and wind. And we did have a tornado today. So maybe they should have left that marginal up over here. Yeah, the Northern Lights. You know, the best place to go is just up in the mountains, really. If you can get to the North Cascades or some of the areas up in the higher terrain of BC, you can really get some awesome views. I mean, even eastern Washington, like I go out to like Lake Chelan up here in the higher terrain, and the night sky is so much different than it is across some of western Washington. The light pollution is pretty intense. When I was out dust devil chasing last week, we actually saw a tempest weather station somewhere out here north of Ritzville too. So looks like somebody I wonder if they bought it from watching my channel or not, but it was pretty interesting seeing it mounted at their home. Yeah, we got severe thunderstorm here moving into Oregon. Watch out on I-95. Man, you might have a nice view of some structure if you're across Harlem, if you're up on the mountains, like at Huckleberry Mountain there, I-95. That's probably pretty photogenic looking here. There might be a little bit of rotation in there as well. It's hard to tell. This is radar scope here. This is actually showing some hail potential as well. So it's some larger size hail in there, but I should probably get on the Spokane radar here as well. Let's do that. But yeah, this is probably pretty photogenic here. If you're on Highway 95 in Idaho, heads up, man. You are probably getting a show here. There's probably some nice lightning strikes coming out of this thing as well. It almost looks as it's had a hook on it too. There's probably some rotation in this storm right there. One of the cool things you can do with these apps as well is you can go ahead and do this. So you can see this is the difference in the wind speeds here. And green means it's moving towards the Doppler radar. The red means it's moving away. So you're getting some kind of rotation going on in here, but it doesn't look like, I don't see any kind of super couplet going on there, but yeah, might have been some interesting looking wall cloud action on that. But yeah, they're I-95, or not I-95, Highway 95 here in Idaho. Watch out. Just north of I-90 here. The tornado occurred near Coulee City. So they're over here. Right about here. This afternoon, about 3:34 p.m., the tornado formed right there. Thank you for the kind words, everybody. Yeah, pretty intense precipitation in that core. Look at that, 64. I mean, pretty torrential downpour in that thing there, 64. Searching if there's anything higher in there. Probably some pretty big hail in there as well. Very nice. Severe thunderstorm again there on the border of Washington and Idaho. And we had a tornado earlier today. But yeah, we're going to warm up here across much of the West Coast, all the way into BC, especially California, Nevada, Arizona, Oregon, Washington. Let's see what they're saying here on today's up-to-date 6 to 10 day. Internet's a little bit slow. Actually, closer to, I don't know about that. But we'll see. 8 to 14 day. Huh? Yeah, okay. Precip. They finally took away that above average signal here for some of Western Washington. I'm not really sure why they had it, but something I wanted to check out here as well. So we have the 18Z European up here also. So let's back out a little bit here. And let's go to, so we can see a little, let's just go to Northwest. Bounce back out a little more. So I want to see if this system that's coming in next, this is one that went through there today. Afternoon thunderstorms tomorrow there across some of the Rockies and maybe Northeast Washington. I don't see anything showing up on the European west of the Cascades coming up here, though. I mean, a little bit tries to show up there. Look across the Olympic Mountains, maybe there. So something you got to watch for. Let's do this. Let's look at the timing of that. So we'll go to upper level heights. We'll go to vorticity here. And here's today's system there. Here comes the next one here across Western Washington. So that would be Wednesday afternoon. That might time out. Maybe we'll get a thunderstorm here across the Olympics, or maybe really lucky and get one across Western Washington. But probably, of course, a better chance here the further east you go. But you can see that system kind of fall apart there. And then we start to build this ridge here as we go on in through later portions of the week. Yeah, the Tempest Weather Station is pretty nice. I've got 3 of them running tests here at my house. I'm just, honestly, I'm completely shocked at how accurate the station is. I mean, it's lining up with my Davis temperature-wise, and the UV index on it is extremely accurate. I'm just kind of amazed by the system. The haptic rain gauge needs a little work, but once you smart integrate it with the other stations and you click that button, the rain is really accurate also. So it's like an all-inclusive weather station. It's really nice. The wind speed is very accurate also. It's a 3-second reading. Very nice. Yeah, I don't mind this onshore flow and some clouds in the morning and some sunshine in the afternoon. You're not going to hear me complain about not dealing with 95-degree days for sure. So Wednesday afternoon, that kind of moves through there. So let's see if there's any precipitation showing up here with that system. You can kind of see a little bit the Northwest Washington coast, maybe the Olympics, and Port Angeles, maybe even get a shower out of that. Just a little bit of light precip showing up across Western Washington. Maybe kick off some storms across BC there. Something else we can look at here as well. Did I not click on that? This actually has wildfire smoke on it as well. And look at some of this, man. Canada, what are you guys doing up there? You guys are burning alive. You can look a little bit further out into the future on this as well. Doesn't look like any kind of smoke imminent from Canada into the Pacific Northwest. See it mainly staying east of the Rockies as this low pressure up here spinning. You can see it directing it down across some of the northern plains as well. Not much down into Washington, but you can see the fire smoke across some of even south central BC here as we go on in through this week. Lightning has started a lot of fires there, so hopefully those can get extinguished and don't get too crazy. Yeah, the forest fire smoke I can definitely do without. Yeah, I mean, that ridge isn't too strong. So if we look at the ridge here, bounce out to the control so we can go 144 hours out. There's system 1, system 2, and then that ridge starts to build. And this trough here, I mean, it's not that close here. So we're probably going to, I think we'll probably be above average here. But you see the ridge is not a big, huge heat dome well up into BC or anything like that. So it's going to be kind of close. And if you back out to the 12Z run then, and you can see this is definitely onshore flow here for BC, Washington, down into Western Oregon as well. And then the trough just plain old tries to set up right over the Pacific Northwest. Not near as strong as something we'll see in the fall and winter coming up, but it's definitely not going to be a heat wave here as we go on in through next week for sure. And maybe this trough will even cool down California here as we go on in through later July. Who knows how that will turn out. We'll watch that day at a time. Yeah, I saw that areas near the Arctic Circle, 100 degrees yesterday. I think the first time they've ever recorded 100 degrees up there. I kind of don't like thinking about that too much here. I wish the global warming thing was kind of a hoax, you know. I don't like thinking about it too much. Yeah, I don't know that much about El Nino versus the monsoon down there. I know there is a correlation between winter precipitation and the monsoon, though. The more winter precipitation, or the more precipitation you get the previous winter, actually the less you get for the monsoon across the desert Southwest. The less you get during winter, it translates into more. And it's probably just due to upper air patterns that kind of continue on into the summertime a little bit. But yeah, I'm not sure really how El Nino, I think it actually might increase some of the precipitation down there during El Nino years. I'm not sure about that. I'll have to look into it more. I'm actually doing kind of an educational on the monsoon right now. And so that's something I'm going to be looking into shortly. So don't take anything what I'm saying about the monsoon and El Nino with any kind of certainty right now. I'll know more about that here for sure in the next couple of weeks. Enjoy your evening, everybody. Yeah, I'm going to get off here in about 5 minutes. I have to go pick up my daughter. Yeah, that's another thing. If you warm the temperatures up, you know, if global warming, if it's warming that up 1 to 2 degrees, you think that's not a big deal. But what it does is it lets insects infiltrate other areas and it weakens trees into BC, for example, or if you know, other kinds of impacts that you're not really thinking about that don't have that big of a change. Or if you're increasing the temperature by a degree, you're drying things out to some extent, or you're just keeping maybe a little bit less snow on the ground, maybe a little bit less precip or better evaporation because of those temperature increases, you know, whatever. There's many things we can't think of, but you tend to increase some of that fire danger here. Hopefully that's not the case, but it's probably not a good thing, though, that we're warming up. You know, I heard they're now reporting some malaria here into the United States again here as well with mosquito activity here. That's just kind of one of the byproducts of a slightly warming climate. Thanks for coming to the live stream. Thank you, Kate. Yeah, no, it's... The thing about climate change is that, I mean, a lot of the social media stuff that you'll see, like the flooding there in Vermont, it has happened before. It will happen again. What climate change does is it starts to enhance these systems. So it's not like this wouldn't have happened here or there wouldn't have been severe flooding, but it can enhance that flooding here. And so it's very difficult to pinpoint exactly what climate change is doing on a storm to storm basis. You can't just point at a storm and say, hey, this would not have happened without climate change. It's hard to do it in that way. You can say that it was exacerbated by climate change, and other systems are going to be reduced, and some of their impacts will be reduced by climate change. And, there's a lot of things we still have to figure out about it, but it's something that we don't have to stop living a modern lifestyle per se, but we need to start taking action as an entire species here, and we need to start turning to cleaner energy and whatnot. Obviously, if we dig up the planet and burn it to your sky, some things are going to change, right? But yeah, look at that low out here. I mean, look at this thing. Just really some severe flooding there across some of the Northeast. This ridge and this low, just kind of duking it out here. This is kind of holding this at bay. Gulf of Hudson, the Hudson Bay low there, not the Gulf of Hudson, the Hudson Bay low, not allowed to kick off to the east there. I don't know much about HARP. As far as I know, there's not any large-scale weather control going on, but I have not looked into that much. Yeah, that's the problem. Ryan mentions that the mountain pine beetle is a big issue due to a warming climate. That's what you need. You need some of these cold winters sometimes to really knock back the insects, because if you stop, just a degree or two can make a huge difference, but how far insects can infiltrate into new environments, they can really disrupt ecosystems. I mean, this is like portion of the lungs of the planet. The forest up here across Canada is pretty widespread, and it's very important. And if you burn that, then you just further enhance bad things down the line. You're putting a lot of smoke into the atmosphere. You're ruining the forest. So I know there's some burn areas across California and Oregon that are still out there, and it will take a long time for those areas to recover. Some extreme fires across British Columbia and whatnot. It's not something that, hey, the forest fire just burns through and by next year everything's regrown. So these things have lasting impacts. Yeah, thanks for the kind words. Rod Hurd is here. Thumbs up. Yes, malaria in Florida. Yeah, not a good thing. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get off here because I'm going to go pick up my daughter and whatnot. But I'll do my normal briefings tomorrow, so I'll talk to you guys then. But I will also, in a couple days, if you're not a member, sign up. And I'll do a reminder tweet tomorrow as well, and you guys will be automatically entered in the drawing for a free Tempest weather station. I located somebody in Forks, Washington. I'm going to give one to them also coming up here. I've got a couple more to give away. And I may be still giving away some on into the future. So if you continue to be a member, you will continue to be automatically put into those drawings. So yeah, no problem. Thanks for stopping by, everybody, and that you guys make the channel possible. It's fun to do, and it's something worthwhile. I'm glad to see a lot of positive energy here on the channel. So anyway, I will see you guys tomorrow morning, and then I'll see you guys in a couple days. We'll do another live stream here, probably